Hello, everyone. Hello. How are you guys tonight? It's good to see you. My hair kind of looks like a rooster tail tonight. How is everyone? I hope you guys are doing well. I see one person on here so far. Hello. See if we get any more. We'll read 2 more chapters of our book, Clementine, this evening. I think we're on chapters 7 and 8 tonight. So we will. And we'll read our last 2 chapters will be tomorrow night on Friday evening. So then we'll be done with Clementine tomorrow night, and it'll be time to select a new chapter book for next week. So that'll be exciting. I have some good ones. I'll have to go through them and pick out a couple. We'll put another poll up over the weekend, and you guys can vote on which book you would like. All right, so welcome everyone. It's good to see you guys back for another edition of Virtual Bedtime Stories. I'm Miss Emily from the Meigs County Library. Again, it's nice to see everyone. I said I have my hair, sorry, it kind of looks like a rooster tail this evening, so. We will continue reading Clementine by Sara Pennypacker. And this book is read with permission. I forget. From Hyperion Books, which is part of Disney Worldwide Publishing. So we want to thank them very much for letting us read this book. All right, guys, here we go. Chapters 7 and 8 are tonight. So we'll start with chapter 7. Oh, do you remember what happened at the end of chapter 6? Let's go back and see. Oh, does anyone remember? I know they were trying to get rid of what on the front of the building? What were they trying to get rid of? What was Clementine trying to help her dad get rid of? Pigeons, right? Why were they trying to get rid of the pigeons? Do you remember? What were the pigeons doing? They were leaving pigeon splat all over the front of the building in the entrance where you would walk into their apartment building, right? Yeah. That's not a good thing to have to walk around in pigeon splat. So they were trying to get rid of the pigeons and get them to move somewhere else. So, and remember, Clementine cut her hair to make it look more like Margaret's. So we'll see what else happens tonight. So chapter 7. I knew Friday was going to be a bad day right from the beginning because there were clear parts in my eggs. I can't eat eggs if they have clear parts, I reminded my mother. Eat around them, she said. Just eat the yellow parts and the white parts. But I couldn't because the clear parts had touched the yellow parts and the white parts. So all I had was toast. Have you got all your stuff? My dad asked as I was leaving. Of course, I said, right in my backpack. But when I went to show him my homework, the 3 sentences about the planet Saturn, which I had decorated with a picture of some squirrels I'd seen in the park, it wasn't there. Better go check the black hole, he said. I gave my dad a that's not funny look. But I went back to check my room. The black hole is what my dad calls the place under my bed. He says things mysteriously disappear there. I do not think fathers should be comedians. My homework paper was not under my bed, and the rest of my day got worse. On the bus, Margaret walked right past our usual seat and sat down next to Amanda Lee, even though all Amanda Lee can talk about is going to the mall, which is boring. Plus, anyone with a name as beautiful as Amanda Lee probably made it up. Then, as soon as I got to school, the teacher said, the following students are excused from recess so they can catch up on their journal writing. And I was one of the following students. 3 times during journal writing, the teacher said, Clementine, you need to pay attention. And every time he said it, I was paying attention, I was paying attention out the window where the fourth graders were playing pickle in the middle. Whenever the ball came anywhere near Margaret and Amanda Lee, they grabbed each other and shrieked like they were being murdered, which everyone knows means we are best friends. When my teacher moved my seat away from the window, I was glad. And I wrote all over my journal page, I don't care. So hard, my pencil broke. When I got home from school, I was planning on going straight to my room to draw a picture of me with a new best friend. But my dad was putting on his raincoat, and it was not raining out. Fighting pigeons is not for the weak-hearted, he said. It takes superhuman courage and resourcefulness and cleverness. When my dad talks like this, it means he has a new idea. You have another battle plan? I asked. Yep, he answered, and it's a doozy. I probably should be promoted to general for this one. You already are the general, remember? Oh, right. I'm so modest, I sometimes forget. Well, I bet I get a Medal of Honor. Dad, I might even be knighted for this one. Dad, I said. Sometimes my dad needs help staying serious. So, what is the new battle plan? My dad looked around like he thought there might be spies sneaking up on us. Then he bent over and whispered in my ear, psychological warfare. This sounded like a good one, so I followed him out and sat on the steps to watch. I could do the drawing later. First, my dad hosed off the sidewalk and then sprayed the pigeons until they flew away. All the time he was muttering things like, oh, they're crafty all right, but I'm craftier. And it's a little known fact that pigeons were the 8th deadly plague to visit Egypt. Then he pulled a brown plastic owl from a bag. He got a ladder and climbed up and put the owl right on top of the lion's head over the lobby door. I asked him what that was for. The pigeons will take one look at that owl and they'll head for the hills. Well, for another building. Pigeons are deathly afraid of owls. Yep, I'll probably be knighted. It's plastic, I reminded him. But the pigeons don't know that. That's the brilliance of my plan. I didn't see what was so brilliant. I didn't know how a little plastic owl was going to frighten off a flock of pigeons who fought over who was going to sit on the head of a roaring lion. And while we stood there, Dad admiring his brilliant battle plan and me worrying about it, the pigeons came back. They settled on their regular perches all over the front of our building, except for a few who decided to sit on the owl's head. What my dad needed was something real. Polka Dotty would have scared them off. Dad put the ladder and his raincoat away and came over to sit beside me. You still miss her, don't you, Sport? I nodded. I miss seeing her when I get home from school. I miss patting her where her fur was so soft under her neck. I miss hearing her purr when I fall asleep. I even miss the smell of her cat food. That's a lot of missing, my dad said. And she would have scared off those pigeons, wouldn't she? Absolutely. That was one terrifying cat. Dad, she would have been terrifying 2 pigeons, I said. And then I had one of the most astonishing ideas of my whole career. I jumped up and gave my dad a kiss right where his beard stopped being crunchy. Then I ran back into the apartment, went to my bedroom, and reached under the mattress where I kept my favorite picture of Polka. Then I ran to the copy shop at the corner. Can you make this bigger? I asked. How big do you want it? The clerk asked. I took out my wallet and laid all my birthday money on the counter. How big can you make it for this much? The clerk counted my money and thought for a minute. I can make that cat the size of a German shepherd for that much money. Perfect, I said. Then he took the money and the picture of Polka and told me to come back the next day at 4. I ran home and let myself into the apartment. My dad and Mom were in the kitchen. One left, my dad said. One's all we need, said my mom. Do you think we should do it? I think so, my dad answered. I think it's time. Okay, my mom said. I'll call tomorrow. One's all we need? I slammed the door behind me so they would know I was there. If they were talking about getting rid of me so they'd only have one kid, the easy one, I wanted them to STOP Stop. Not that I was worried. They probably weren't even talking about me anyway. Shh, my dad said. She's home. Okay, fine. I was worried. Chapter 8. Here is a secret good thing. Sometimes I like journal writing at school because I can remind myself of things I might forget when I'm grown up, like that I have a plan to smoke cigars. And I do not plan to get married. Cigars, yes. Husband, no. What if I forget these things? One more thing to remember when I am old. If I ever do get married, which I will not, I will only have one kid. The first one. She is plenty good enough, even if she's the hard one. Nope, no need for another kid, even if he's the easy one. Although, thinking about my brother and thinking about my journal gave me an astonishing idea on Saturday. Last week, Turnip had to get a shot at the doctor's, and he was so mad about it that my parents let him rent a video and eat gummy worms, even though they were usually the Sesame Street and carrot stick kind of parents. So I pretended I had to write in my journal, even though I didn't, because it was the weekend. And I pretended I was mad about it, so my parents would feel sorry for me too. As soon as they came into my room, I scringed my eyebrows down like arrows, stuck my bottom teeth out as far as they could go. Here's a picture of that. This is what she thinks she looked like. If my teeth were pointier, I would have looked fierce, like our stone lion. Still, see how mad I looked? But guess what? Guess what my parents did? Nothing. Because they are not so good at paying attention. Excuse me, I said. I am very mad about this journal. May I please have some gummy worms and a video? They stared at me like I had spoken in the secret language Margaret and I use, which I was almost sure I had not. You let Zucchini have gummy worms and a video when he was mad about his shot, I reminded them. First of all, my mother said, your brother's name isn't Zucchini. Second of all, he's 3 years old. And third of all, my father said, considering all the trouble you've gotten into this week, I don't think it's quite time for special treats, do you? Okay, fine, I said, but it wasn't. In the afternoon, my mom had to go to her yoga class, and my brother had to go to his Saturday play group. My dad was around, but he was up on the second floor taking care of a plumbing issue. Usually on Saturday afternoons, Margaret and I play together, but now Margaret was not my friend. So I had nothing to do, not even eat gummy worms and watch a video for 3 whole hours until I could go back and get the big polka picture. Then I realized I didn't know exactly where I should put the picture once I got it. What I needed was one of those top windows right in the middle of the building where it would scare off the pigeons. Margaret's apartment was on the 5th floor, but I didn't think Margaret's mother was about to let a common criminal use her window. The man who lives on the 6th floor smells like mothballs, so I never visit him. The people who live on the 7th floor were away on vacation while their apartment got painted. Which reminded me, I flew up to the 7th floor to see if the painters wanted help yet. Nobody answered the apartment door when I knocked, but the painters' stilts and their brushes and paint cans were out in the hall. The hall hadn't been painted yet, which gave me a great idea. I could do it for them. Then when they got back on Monday, they'd smack their foreheads and make a, "Wow, I must be dreaming" face. They'd wonder who had done such a great thing until I went up and told them, oh, it was just me. I was smiling about all this while I strapped the stilts onto my legs. When I tried to stand up, I fell right over. I tried again, and I fell right over again. 29 times, which was plenty, believe me, so I was all done being there. On the way down, the elevator stopped at the 5th floor. I got a little bit excited when Margaret got in and smiled at me, but then 1 second later, that Amanda Lee got in too. Hi, Clementine. We're going to the mall, Margaret said. I turned around and pretended to be very busy pushing all the buttons until they got off. Then I went to my room and drew a picture of me at the mall with a lot of new best friends. Finally, it was time to go to the copy shop, and I ran all the way, even though I probably had 2 broken legs from all that falling. When the clerk brought out the picture of Polka Dotty, my heart turned. My heart hurt so much I couldn't breathe for a minute. She looked so beautiful that big, and I missed her so much. I quick sucked in some air so I wouldn't faint, and then I said, "Thank you," and I took Polka home, being careful not to fold her, because she would have hated that. When I got to my building, I looked up through all the pigeons. At the very top of the building was old Miss Jacoby's apartment. I tucked the big picture of Polka under my arm, took the elevator to the 8th floor, and knocked on Miss Jacoby's door. "Can I put this in your window?" I asked. "The one in the middle of your living room?" Mrs. Jacoby said, "Why, certainly, dearie," without even asking why, and suddenly she didn't look so old or so boring. I went to the window and opened it. When I looked down, I could see the backs of a million cooing pigeons. They covered every windowsill, every balcony, every ledge, every brick that stuck out even an inch. In between, I could see the sidewalk in front of the building, still wet from my dad's washing. I guessed this was what my dad meant about seeing things from a different angle, but I didn't understand how it could help. Miss Jacoby came over beside me and shook half a box of Cheerios onto the windowsill. The pigeons flapped up in one huge gray cloud, and my brain snapped. "Hey! Hey!" I ran out of Mrs. Jacoby's apartment all the way down to my own, 8 times 12 stairs, which equals 96. "Dad!" I yelled. "What if the pigeons lived on the side of the building instead of in the front? Would that be okay?" "That would be great," my dad said. "A miracle. Except, of course, you'd have to convince the million pigeons to move. But if I could, would that solve the problem? You wouldn't care if they messed all over the sidewalk in the side alley?" "Nope, not a bit. Nobody uses it. The alley could be knee-deep in pigeon splat, and nobody would even notice." "Fire away," I'd say. And then I ran all the way back up the stairs to Mrs. Jacoby's apartment and went right inside, since the door was still open, because that's how fast I was. "I'll run for your Cheerios every week," I told her. "You won't even have to ask me. Every day if you want. But will you stop feeding the pigeons from here? Will you feed them from the side window instead?" I took her into the dining room and showed her a perfect place. "Let's start today," I said, and I sprinkled out the rest of the box of Cheerios. And even though pigeons have teeny tiny bird brains, they got the message pretty quick, because right away a big flock of them flapped over. And it was even better for Mrs. Jacoby, because this was her dining room. So now she could see those pigeons eating when she was eating. And then I was all done being there, so I ran back home to tell my dad the good news. He and my mom were in the kitchen starting dinner, so I told them, and I told them, and I told them. And my dad kept saying, "Way to go, sport." And my mom kept saying, "Thank goodness. Now you don't have to spend your life cleaning up after those pigeons." They were so happy. But my parents were sneaky too. Somehow, while I was telling them about Mrs. Jacoby, one of them slipped me a colander of green beans and brainwashed me into snapping them. I didn't really care though. Seeing the "wow, I must be dreaming" faces on my parents was even better than it would have been seeing them on the painters. Unfortunately, they didn't have those faces very long. After dinner, my mom said she'd better get a little work done. Then she went to the cupboard to get her special markers, which were still in Margaret's room. "You used not the permanent. Those are for..." "What were you..." It's a very bad sign when my mother can't finish her sentences. "They're at Margaret's," I told her. "They're fine. They're not even chewed on. I'll go get them." "Oh, no," said my father. We'll go get them. I think it's time we had a talk with Margaret's mother anyways. You'll go sit in your room and think about things. So I went to my room and thought about things, like Margaret's mother explaining to my parents about the easy one, hard one rule. And those are our chapters for this evening, guys. That was chapters 7 and 8 of Clementine by Sara Pennypacker. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you tune back in here on our Facebook page tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we will read the final 2 chapters, 9 and 10, and we will wrap up our book for this week. And then this weekend, like I said, it will be time, and you guys will have an opportunity to pick out a new book, a new adventure for next week, okay? All right, guys, it was good to see you. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I will see you guys right back here on the library's Facebook page tomorrow night at 7, okay? All right. Night, guys. Have a good evening. Bye.